Alaska, a state so large it dwarfs Texas. A land so grand they'll be making reality shows about it for decades. And a place where you can truly live a life less ordinary.
We are Ben and Rebecca of Outliers, Overland. Today we're coming to you from our hometown of Seward, Alaska. Welcome to 10 things you're going to hate about living in Alaska.
Yeah, COVID has us trapped between adventures right now, so it's the perfect time to make a series of videos about life in Alaska.
We've lived here since 2008, and it's the place where we will always call home. Even though one day we'd love to have property somewhere tropical, for now, overlanding scratches that itch to travel.
Now, we have so much great information to share that this is going to be a 3-part series covering the things you need to know before moving to Alaska, the things you're going to love about living in Alaska, and this one, the things you're going to hate about living in Alaska. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and check them all out.
Don't spend too much time stressing on that word hate. The essential idea of these videos is to provide a well-rounded view of life in Alaska. Basically, we're going to share the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
All right, let's get this list kicked off with number 1. It's more expensive to live in Alaska. And for the most part, Alaska is at the end of the supply chain, which makes the sheer logistics of getting products here costly and more expensive to the end user.
A perfect example of this would be produce. On the road system, it's expensive. Wouldn't be surprised to pay $10 for a bag of grapes. Off the road system, it's exorbitant. We have seen half of a watermelon cost $40. No joke.
Now, here's some irony. Ted Stevens International Airport in Anchorage is one of the busiest cargo traffic airports in the world, but goods are still more expensive here. And also, considering how much oil is drilled up here, the gas is even higher than the US national average.
We could come up with countless other examples, but you're probably getting the point. So let's move on to number 2, shipping problems.
Yeah, and the irony, because of Anchorage's high cargo traffic, it is expensive and difficult to get things shipped here, despite the fact that at one point on its journey to the United States, it may have even stopped here.
First off, your favorite line will become, "We don't ship outside of the United States." When looking to buy something online, we never get our hopes up until it accepts our address and we have a confirmation number.
Now, sometimes when you place an order and you choose the ground option, either from the Postal Service or FedEx, it'll take 3 weeks or more for delivery. Then, one of the more recent problems is with Amazon and their Prime shipping. It has to do with lithium batteries, and you would be shocked at how many things have lithium batteries. A couple years ago, they were getting shipped up here, and now they are not.
Number 3, Alaska has some of the worst air quality in the nation at times. And you're probably wondering how that's possible in such a natural and remote location.
Yeah, the reality is that Fairbanks, Alaska, and the surrounding areas have extremely unhealthy air for sizable periods of time, and that is in the winter, when there is a pressure inversion that essentially keeps all of the smoke from the heating devices, whether it's wood or a boiler that burns heating oil, trapped at surface level.
Honestly, it's bad enough that it would give us pause to thinking about moving to Fairbanks.
Okay, moving on to number 4. Alaska is not immune to the problems of the modern world. Sadly, there are a lot of substance abuse issues here, probably not unlike the area where you're watching this video from right now. But everything from alcohol, meth, heroin, smartphones, it's all causing problems up here.
Bottom line, what you need to know, Alaska is a real place with real people in a very modern, real society. Not some fairy tale mythical land like we could all easily envision. Having said that, there is that Wild West mentality because of where we are located and the fact that most people up here are armed.
With that Wild West reference, let's move on to number 5. There is a game of catch and release with criminals in Alaska. And this roots back to a few years ago. There was legislation passed where law enforcement officers had to release criminals that were nonviolent.
Unfortunately, this snowballed and amplified, especially for Anchorage and the Matsu Valley, high population areas. Luckily, there have been some revisions to the laws and things are getting back under control. But needless to say, some damage was done.
For number 6, we're getting away from that human element and going to talk about the weather because it is extreme in Alaska. So here's a perfect example. You know all those storms that the news media in the lower 48, they give hyped up names to? In Alaska, we call that a Wednesday.
In our part of Alaska, deep low pressure systems develop in the North Pacific and sometimes reach hurricane levels. At home in the temperate rainforest of Seward, this means torrential rain that would turn most areas into a disaster zone, often exceeding 3 to 4 inches a day for many days on end. Climate change is also very apparent in Alaska's high latitudes. Just in our short tenure here, we can see the glaciers receding year after year and changes in weather patterns.
Now, the 7th thing on our list of things that you're going to hate about living in Alaska is that the winters are long and cold. Well, the fact of the matter is, at these high latitudes, you can have winter conditions present for 6 to 8 months a year.
The state of Alaska is so vast that the winter weather is completely different across the state. So for example, the southeast panhandle and temperate rainforests get a mix of rain and snow all winter. And if you head north and inland a few hundred miles to Fairbanks, you can experience below 0 to 30 below for months on end.
Sticking with the winter theme for number 8, but it's the fact that a lot of people think that Alaska is completely dark all winter long. And this is and isn't true, but it depends ultimately on what part of the state you're located in.
So a little background information to understand this concept is the fact that winter solstice happens on December 21st. That's the shortest day of the year. All of the days leading up to the 21st of December are getting shorter. And then once you pass it, all the days are getting longer.
Now keep in mind, summer solstice, June 21st, things are kind of flipped around.
An example of this fact would be to look at a place like Barrow, all the way up north. The sun will not rise above the horizon for over a month during the winter there. But then if we take a little trip about 1,000 miles south to our town of Seward, the sun is up from about 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., albeit low on the horizon. Another factor is the lay of the land, because if there are mountains blocking the sun as it rises and sets, the days can be even shorter.
Number 9 is a little bit on the humorous side, but people think you live in Arkansas. And a perfect example of this is you'll be talking to some business down in the lower 48 and you give them your address and AK, and they'll then proceed to say, "Oh, how's the weather in Arkansas?"
Honestly, at this point, we've given up trying to correct him. We're just like, "Oh, it's great, thanks."
Number 10 can be a little infuriating, but you're gonna have to get used to early phone calls in Alaska. So there's a 4-hour time difference between East Coast and Alaska time. So when people are starting work at 8 a.m., that's 4 a.m. here. And when they do make those phone calls really early in the morning, it's probably because they think you live in Arkansas.
Well, having said that, we hope you enjoyed the 10 things you're going to hate about living in Alaska. Maybe got a few laughs too. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can check out the other 2 videos we've made in this series. And thanks for joining us.